Namaskar and very warm welcome to this special episode of Green Talk with Anil Pratap Singh here on Munsif TV. Water does not recognize national borders and neither do environmental challenges of our time. Today we are bridging two of Asia's most iconic and life-giving river systems, our sacred Ganga and Mekong, mighty Mekong. Under the historic Mekong-Ganga Cooperation framework, India and Southeast Asia share centuries of cultural, spiritual, and ecological ties. Today, both the basins stand at a critical crossroads of climate vulnerability and transboundary water governance. To help us to look beyond the dense policy papers and understand the real pulse of river banks, we are joined today by a truly unique voice from Thailand. She is an esteemed academic and English lecturer in the English and Communication program at the Faculty of Liberal Arts, Ubon Ratchathani University, and prolific freelance translator who has spent nearly 15 years bridging language and ecological barriers. Born in Mukdahan province along the Mekong and currently living at the beautiful confluence of Mun and Mekong rivers, her connection to these waters is deeply personal, academic, and spiritual. She has been a powerful voice, powerful force in translating complex climate policy into grassroots awareness, championing the stories of local communities and indigenous women leaders. Please welcome with me Atchara Simlee to the Green Talk with Anil Pratap Singh. Atchara, it is an absolute pleasure to have you on the show today. Thank you for joining us.
It's also my pleasure to have a conversation with you today, and thank you for inviting me to be part of your program.
Always welcome. Now, Atchara, let us dive right into the heart of transboundary water issues on the addition of Green Talk with Anil Pratap Singh. My actually first question is, beside my role heading Munsif TV for my state in Uttar Pradesh and hosting this show, Green Talk with Anil Pratap Singh, I also look at these transboundary issues as the founder director of Global Science Academy, an organization that has been working in environmental conservation for last 3 decades. Under the Mekong-Ganga Cooperation framework, India and Mekong countries share deep historical, cultural, and now ecological ties. Both the Ganga and Mekong basins face intense climate vulnerability. In your 15 years of as a translator, you have watched how complex regional policies translate or sometimes fail to translate to the people living on the riverbanks. From your unique perspectives, I would much like to know what is the biggest gap between high level river governance and the reality of local communities, etc.
Right. So, based on my experience translating for Thai, Lao, and Cambodian river communities since 2009,
Okay.
actually, the biggest gap from the high level river governance is that they prioritize macroeconomic metrics while ignoring the micro realities of the local livelihoods. So,
Okay.
while the regional policies focus on abstract goals, for example, sustainable hydropower and and energy balancing,
Okay.
and how they deal with the policies from the top down approach. This
Okay.
means that communities are actually excluded from the decision making process. And I
Yes.
have an example of how the top down process approach works. So
Okay.
I would give you the example of the EIA environmental impact assessment stage. So in Thailand, the EIA process is often a checkbox exercise rather than a more genuine public consultation. In my translation work, I have talked to a lot of affected villagers who told me that they were either not informed uh, or officially only present the benefits of the development project rather than talking about the drawbacks related to the environmental and displacement costs. So this is a big gap because when villagers are affected by the local development projects, and when they try to protest against the government, they are considered as the anti-development and also anti-government when they only want to raise concerns about their livelihood and the food security or displacement that are related directly related to their life.
That is really a striking reality, Achara. When policy remains isolated in high-level offices, it really completely loses touch with the ground. And the massive reason for this disconnect is the language itself, I think. So, environmental policy and documents are often dense, technical, and filled with legal jargon. In your 15 years of bridging language barrier on the Mekong, you are not just changing words from the language to one another. You are translating complex climate science into human stories. Could you please share an instance where local community knowledge beautifully filled a gap that formal policy text completely missed? Achara.
I would give examples from my work in the lower river basin across Ubon Ratchathani and a nearby province, Sisake.
Yeah.
So when dams were constructed, after dams were constructed, and the fish populations declined due to the upstream dam blocks, uh, what the government agency did was they ordered the fishery department to release thousands of fish fingerlings into the river, which is rarely succeeded. So in contrast, local communities, they use the knowledge retrieved from their Taiwan research or the local research in order to create a fish conversation zone by themselves. So it's a strategy uh, from the local people where they want to preserve the fish species. So they have like fish conservation zone right nearby the temple or in the temple area because they integrate, the Buddhist principles and also the local belief that they shouldn't do any harm, no harm. They shouldn't do any harm to the fish in the conservation zone because that's where they can leave the fish to spawn naturally without
Okay.
being caught by the fishermen. This is one of the examples. Another example is the riverbank erosion from the perspective of the government. They try to build concrete embankments to prevent the erosion along the Mekong River. However, local people, they usually have the kite trees, the trees that grow along the Mekong River or in the Mekong River. That is the natural embankment because the trees can prevent erosion and also they can hold the soil together to provide organic nursery for the fish. I would give you a more specific case of the Tamui village in my province
Okay.
where I live in now. So local people there, they actually do a farming a farming ecosystem called Na Sang. Na Sang means seasonal rice plantations and vegetable gardens along the Mekong River. So when the water drops, they would grow rice or vegetables on along the Mekong River because the natural mud in the soil is very fertile. So when the government try to build embankments, it means that they destroy the area where local people can grow rice and vegetables. That means that their food security is destroyed too. So and also because the Thai trees can be the source where the fish can come and lay eggs, meaning that with the government perspective, they destroy the source of food and also the source of where fish can lay eggs and can reproduce. That's the example. Another
Okay.
example is very clear. In my province, we have Pak Mun Dam. Maybe you have heard of it. So Pak Mun Dam was built a long time ago, and there was a big protest in the province and also in Bangkok because it actually affected a lot of people in the area. So
Okay.
people together with academics, they did research and they found that because of the dam construction, it blocks the way where the fish from traveling from the upstream to downstream or vice versa to lay eggs. So the government tried to solve the problem by building the fish ladder, which, based on the Western models. However, it did not work for the fish in my region or in my province because the that fish ladder is only for salmon, while like Isan fish in my region
Okay.
cannot live, cannot do the same. So it's actually a big failure among the a big failure from the government trying to solve the problem. So this is my example, and another
Great.
example would be how
Great.
the government. Another
Great.
example would.
It's actually we have certain more questions, and you have actually given beautiful what beautiful examples you have given already, and it really proves that traditional wisdom is not unscientific. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Right,
just a
right.
different. It's just a different, deeply tested
Mm-hmm.
kind of science. Okay.
Right,
Uh,
right.
Now, observing these ground realities requires looking closely at who actually manages these changes daily
Mm-hmm.
on a daily routine basis. Uh, actually, during a media workshop, which I also participated, you spoke passionately about inclusive water governance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and brought forward the stories of South Asian women leaders at the grassroots level. In South Asia, we see similar dynamics here. If we talk about India, and it's here in South Asia,
Mm-hmm.
we see similar dynamics where women bear the brunt of water scarcity and climate shifts. From your observations along the Mekong, what unique strength do these local women leaders bring community-led river conservation and climate resilience, etc.?
Right. So from my observation, female leaders in my region, they are actually they have very great negotiation and compromise skills. So in
Okay.
the old days, in protest against government infrastructure or development projects, women would be used to negotiate with the government as the frontline protesters because uh, actually based on our traditional gender norms, uh, state security forces and male police officials, they actually hesitate to use physical violence or harsh confrontation against women who they consider as mothers and grandmothers. So this helps to create safe space to women leaders and give them a chance for negotiation, with the government. And also, women, they become unique leaders because in the old days, they had a clear division of protest labor. So women, as Nang Sompong, one of the female leaders who talked to me, who I did translation for. she told me that in the old days she would go to like major cities like Bangkok to protest, and she usually asked her husband and her male relatives to take care of her farm and her livestock so that she could be with the protester protesting against the government, meaning that that's why we have very unique female leaders, because normally male leaders they would not join the protest. I mean, there are some who did, but some of them had to stay home to take care of their properties while female leaders do the protest. And also, I think we have very unique leaders because they can do a great job in taking care of their household economy. So when the dams
Exactly.
were constructed, they feel that, they lost they lost their income, their riverbank gardens and their local fish stocks and their local foraging resources were destroyed. So they feel that they need to do something in order to defend their livelihood and in order to regain their economy capacity. That's why women they feel that they have lost,
Exactly.
their income as the very heart of household economy. So that's why they become very fighty. Another one
Yeah.
that I would like to, another point that I would like to mention is because in Thai, the word river is Mae Nam. So Mae
Okay.
means mother and Nam means river. So literally, the male leaders I work with, they feel that they are also the mothers of their
Yeah,
children.
exactly. Yeah.
So how it works is that the Mekong River is
Our cultures are
also
very similar. We here in India, actually, we
right,
also say our sacred river Ganga as Mother Ganges, and
right,
other rivers are also sacred here. So
right,
our
and
actually, and what the mention you have actually made, women are truly the at the frontline managers of water ecosystems, Archana. Both, I
right,
think, both
right,
in the Mekong Basin and right here in South Asia, India. Uh,
right,
but
right.
these leaders and communities are increasingly being tested for extreme climate shocks. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You were born in Muktan, the province, and currently live in Ubon Ratchathani, right where the Mun and Mekong rivers meet. This gives you a literal front row seat to the river's changing pulse. During the severe regional floods in 2019 and 2022, what did you observe on the ground? What did these seasons of crisis impact the spirit of local communities you live and work amongst? Answer.
Yes, so I have observed many main points from the 2019 and 2022 floodings. First of all, usually major floods in the lower Moon Basin occur every 5 to 6 years or even longer.
Okay.
Um, so that communities can economically and structurally recover. However, if you consider the flooding in 2019 and 2023, with only 3 years apart, um,
Hmm.
it means that nowadays flooding can happen more frequently. That's my observation. Um, and also from my interviews and from my site visits during the flooding, we talked to different people and they said that, the relevant government agencies were actually heavily criticized for being very passive rather than proactive compared to like local NGOs, academics, civil society networks who did a better job than they did. That's what I have been observed, and that's what I have observed, and that's what I have learned from people because like civil society networks they did a great job in like helping to map flooded zone. They deploy rescue boats and they help with a lot of things during the flooding. And another thing that I learned is that because, of the dam constructions and also with the proposed dam construction, Phungai Dam, if you heard about it, that will even affect Ubon more if that dam actually is built. So people now they are concerned about, the effect of the dam that will happen, and it will cause more damage when it floods. And also because in Ubon, the government has proposed the plan to build the, what do they call? I think it's called the water diversion channel, where people are afraid that it would even cause the flooding to be more severe. So now people are concerned and they want to call for the government to reconsider the plan for dam construction, Phungai Dam construction in Lao side, and also for the water diversion channel in Ubon to prevent
Okay,
future flooding. Yeah.
okay, yeah. It is incredibly inspiring to hear how community resilience shines through the even during such devastating crisis. But
Mm-hmm.
to sustain that spirit over the coming decades, we have to look to the horizon. As a strategic mentor for youth, as you well know, and as an environmental author, I firmly believe that the future of transboundary river governance belongs to the next generation. For the young scholars, activists, translators across both the Ganga and Mekong regions who are watching our program right now today, what is your message to them on how they can actively contribute to the raising awareness of river restoration, Achara?
Right.
What is
So
your
my
message?
my message is very simple,
Yeah,
because the Mekong is a transboundary river, which means that our resistance and our solidarity must be transboundary too.
yeah.
Because, right now the
Hmm.
challenges facing the Mekong are now growing very complex. And with the threat from the climate change and aggressive geopolitical engineering, the river is now severely sick, I think. And, saving it needs to, like we need to rely on like many generations to save the river. No single person can do it. No single organization can
Exactly.
do it. No
Exactly.
single generation can do it.
Collective, yeah.
So we need
Yeah.
to work together. We need the collective effort
Collective, yeah.
to fight this together.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, really, that is a powerful call. That is a powerful call to action for the youth watching today across India and Southeast Asia. To round out our conversation, Achara, I want to step back into something more personal that is underpins all of this work. I have gone through
Mm-hmm.
your biography, wherein you beautifully mentioned that you feel deeply connected to the rivers, what you have just spoken. In India, we look at the Ganga not just a water body, as I said, but as living entity, a mother, and core part of our cultural identity. From your life along Mekong, how does these local folklore, culture, and spiritual respect for the river help communities protect it, even when modern economic pressure try to disrupt it? So what is your opinion in this context?
So, so in our communities, because a lot of communities are located nearby the Mekong River, so
Hmm.
we believe in two main things. First thing is the Naga, the giant serpents, and another thing is the Mekong giant catfish. We believe that the serpents, the Naga, are the protector of the river, so we usually, believe that they protect the Mekong River, and we need to help save the Mekong River so that the Naga can continue living there, and also can and we can also rely on the river. So every year we would have a soul blessing ceremony for the Naga in order to ask for protection and ask for blessing, and in order to show that we need to respect the river. We need to protect the river for the Naga. Another interesting ceremony that we have is the giant catfish, Mekong giant catfish marriage. So they would
Okay,
have a ceremony where they marry the giant catfish, so that the
okay,
giant catfish can reproduce, and can continue living in the river. But this is not just a ceremony; it's a way for local people to show their resistance to the government, because they will ask for the revitalization of the Mekong River. They will ask the government to consider, future development projects in order to have the free flowing river, so that the giant catfish can lay eggs, can reproduce, and also people can, rely on the Mekong River and make use of the Mekong River as like in the old days. That's
okay.
the two main beliefs that we have in our community.
That's really great. What a profound and deeply moving conversation, Achara. Thank you for reminding us that whether it is Ganga or the Mekong rivers are not just points on a map or economic commodities. They are living entities and custodians of our culture and lifeblood of millions, in fact. Your insights today beautifully illustrated that the ultimate solution to transboundary water crisis does not lie solely in high-level diplomatic rooms or dense jargon-filled policy text. It lies in translating the science into human stories, empowering the grassroots women leaders, and listening to the ancient wisdom of communities who have lived in harmony with these rivers for generations, and you have beautifully covered all these. As we look forward, the future, it is this bridge between policy, language, and youth action that will ensure our rivers continue to flow with life. To our viewers across the region, thank you for tuning into the Green Talk with Anil Pratap Singh. Let us do our part to protect and restore the lifelines of our planet. Until the next time, this is Dr. Anil Pratap Singh signing off for Green Talk with Anil Pratap Singh on Munsif TV. You stay green, you stay conscious. Thank you once again, Atchara. Jai Hind.